The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday. What a day we have. Let's start with something other than the mayor today, huh? CJ, we got a couple things we want to touch quickly.
We've got a message from the Massachusetts State Police. For you people who only have cell phones, your 911 system may not work. CenturyLine, which is an internet communications company that connects cell phones with 911 operators, is causing problems in parts of Massachusetts and the nation, according to the Massachusetts State Police. So anyone using a cell phone should use the 10-digit numbers to contact your local police or fire, or you can contact the Framingham Barracks of the State Police, which is the headquarters, at 508-350-7004, and they will connect you to your 911 center. The Fall River Police Department is 508-676-8511.
Yeah, but this of course says it's nationwide outrage. It should be nationwide. It should be, that company should be ordered immediately to rectify the situation, because, you know, not everybody's going to read their newspaper. Not everybody's going to get the message, and this could cause deaths, obviously. When somebody needs 911, it's an emergency, so they're not going to have time to Google anything. You know, if you're trapped in a vehicle, you know, and the vehicle is beginning to burn, or you're trapped in a vehicle and you're bleeding to death, and you can grab your cell phone, you can't get 911. Having to Google it is unacceptable.
I agree. Well, representatives from CenturyLink said they are working on a repair, what the company called a network element that is causing the problems. So
yeah, you mean all the six-figured big, you know, some seven-figured executives have figured out that they got a phone company, and most important, contrary to popular opinion, the most important reason that you have a cell phone is to use for emergency. In the old days when they first came out, that's what people had them for emergencies. Right. But it's not to send texts to your friends and minds.
Because when they first came out, it was so expensive to make a phone call on them.
That's exactly right. And so that's extremely important, and it's outrageous. But before we get into our local news, I just love it when stuff like this comes out, because you say we're always angry, not only at the city, at all politics on every level. But again, here go the states again. Massachusetts lawmakers are getting a pay bump of nearly 6%. Baker raises pay of lawmakers by 5.9%. And then this article here says the budget office pointed to data. Again, here we go with the figures don't lie, but liars can figure, and how they can manipulate figures. Now, this is the data, because this is what they pay these people. They give them government jobs. Our politicians hire these people to do this data mining, data research, so they can justify everything. Now, this is what it's now. This is the budget office pointed to data. Here we go with the data again, showing that the median household income grew from $73,052 in 15 to $77,000 in 2017, increasing total by $4,333, or 5.93%. Now, for all you people who believe stuff like this and don't read it, you just listen to these numbers to justify it. Let's explain what median income is. That means the average middle income. This is the average, state average, which means that it rose by 5.93% when you take everything cumulatively, which means that places like Fall River had a 0, maybe a negative reduction. Remember, our average household income is still less than half of the state income, less than half. And there are other communities like Fall River that got nothing. And the rich communities with the high-paying executives, they push the figure up. We get 0, they get 12, 14% increases in their annual income. You know, the CEO of the pharmaceutical company that got an $18 million raise got more than 5%, obviously. Unless she made like $180 million, I don't, you know, but, 360 million in that case. But these figures are nothing more to justify these political clowns that we have up there that won't give you, although they did this year now because of the pressure, but wouldn't give you for a few years a tax holiday, give themselves another pay raise, and this is on the base salary, not counting all their other stipends and the other things.
Stipends, again with the stipends.
Yeah, and all that, like they get a committee and they get this and they get that.
Plus.
And their travel expenses and all the other perks that they got. You know, this is government BS at its best, right here. This is like watching Kathy Ann and Mary Sahadi 2.0 when you're dealing with it on a state level, because this pay raise is going to cost you billions. Let us go back to the days where the legislators had to have their pay raises approved by the taxpayers. Oh, do I long for the days prior to the Halloween massacre. Because CJ and I remember that.
Yep.
They convened to give themselves a massive pay raise on Halloween evening, and then they booted half of the damn legislature out, justifiably so. So what did the politicians do to make sure it never happened again? They changed the law. Now they give themselves pay raises. They don't have to be voted on, and they call it adjustments, cost of living adjustments. So this, again, here we go. Median data. Let me see the data on Fall River. Let's look at the median income of Fall. We just did. It's like 35 grand.
That's right.
So now the median income is 77.
But
so
remember,
35
Chip,
and 35, last time I checked, right, was 70.
Yep.
So we're less than half. Again.
But Chip, remember, this pay raise is on top of the cost of living adjustment.
Of course.
So they got the cost of living adjustment, which was 4.6%.
Yeah, but it comes out to like 10.
Right.
But like I said, look, money's no object for them. Because
and not only did they make it the law, they put it in the Constitution.
Of course.
That this happens now. This way, nobody can change it.
Well, we need a constitutional convention.
Yeah,
and that's what these tax organizations should be looking at. But you see, that's the thing about that. A lot of these organizations, they call themselves watchdogs, quote unquote, of the taxpayer, but they never go after they don't go after the reps. They'll complain a little bit. You won't see them getting together as a group to get a state convention, to get a constitutional convention convened, so the people can change this back to the way it used to be when they were answerable to the people. Because I'm going to tell you something, they put it in our Constitution, and if I ever hit the mega bucks, that's one of the constitutional changes I will take to the Supreme Court of the United States, because having them give themselves a pay raise and changing them from when the people had to approve it is a violation of the state constitution, because it says everything they do, they have to be answerable to us, including giving themselves a pay raise. What other organization do you know? Do you work in a place where you can give yourself a pay raise? We're their bosses. Can you walk up to your boss and say, I'm giving myself a 4% cost of living, and I'm going to give myself another 6%. I'm going to give myself a 10% pay raise this year. See you later, bye, and walk out of his office.
But remember, that 10% pay raise is also on top of the raises they gave themselves in 2017.
Of course.
Which was based on leadership positions.
Of course.
And
those were gigantic.
Right,
it went from what?
$100,000 pay raises.
Well, it went, didn't the Senate president go from 25,000 to 80,000?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was absurd. And the House went from like 25,000 up to 60 and 65,000. I mean, this is in addition to the base salary that's now going up 10%, that's now going up with the stipend. So you add that, and now you're making 150 G's. But that's the other con that they give you. Because when you look at their salaries, they show you the base. They don't show you the stipends. They don't show you the, what they get, the committee, the travel expenses. Once in a while, there's an article like they had when Mike Roderick was number 3 in the state, getting all the perks, the travel expenses, and all the other stuff. So, they hide their salaries with, guess what we hear? The famous, infamous word in Fall River, stipends. Stipends. So with that, that's to get you pumped over the new year about your legislators. And what I want to know is, it's a median. Why don't we get a median pay bump? Why don't the people who work in who represent communities that have an income that allow them to get a 12% increase in their median income, get a 12% increase in theirs? Because obviously they're doing a really good job for their community, because their community's rich as hell. Why doesn't does the Fall River delegation get 0? Because our median income that they get, not, even if you gave them half, because our income's half, they should only get 3% or get 0%. Why don't we have it community by community? These people are there 365 days a year. They want to really mine accurate data. Let's take the 351 cities and towns and check the median increase in each town and make me a list.
Can you see the state legislature from Fall River, the state delegation from Fall River, making $35,000 a year? It would never happen.
Yeah.
It would never happen.
But let's be accurate. This is the thing. When people, when they march up in front of the council and we're sticking pins in our eyes because we understand how ridiculous and what a giant con this is. Because figures, as we said, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. This is a classic, absolutely classic example. They took twice the amount of time to figure out how to frame this to justify a pay raise as they would have done taking each community and doing it individually and then posting a list. You know how we post a list of educational attainment and Fall River can't make the top 100? Let's see what the increase in the median income is for Fall River compared to Newton. Let's have every single city and town in the city of in the state of Massachusetts and have an accurate list so we can look and say, well, why? Look at this city, look at that, look at this town, compared to Fall River. And what are we doing in Fall River? What are our politicians doing? What are our local politicians doing to increase, the economy here? What is our state doing? We find that they're doing absolutely nothing. It's kind of like it's kind of like when the federal government says our economy is booming. Our economy is booming for businesses, the big multinational businesses that are making billions and trillions of dollars. But if you look at the median income of the average working person in the United States, it hasn't moved much in the last decade.
Nope.
So this is the reason. And, this is what drives me absolutely crazy, because I see this stuff and it's like, God, I mean, talk about, just open your mouth wider so they can shovel the BS down there a little easier. Well, they need a backhoe. There's so much BS.
Well, not that I've ever seen this happen, but the law also provides that if the median income goes down, they get a pay cut. I haven't seen any pay cuts.
We just got a text from one of our viewers that the 911 situation has been fixed. Good. So it was because we said no.
They're listening to us.
Yeah, well, apparently they realized their liability. I don't think it had anything to do with their, with their really caring about their people. They were not magnanimous. It wasn't a magnanimous gesture. It was trying to protect themselves, because can you imagine the lawsuits that would have come down on their heads if people couldn't reach 911? But now let's get to our favorite subject. The mayor. The mayor says he won't resign, setting up a recall election. And we have a picture. We have a copy of the letter
Yep.
that he has. And
Dear City Council, the decision to resign or not resign is not solely my decision.
I disagree with that.
Exactly.
I disagree. It is yours.
The answer to this question rests with the people of our city. It is their will to allow me to continue to serve as mayor. Then I shall continue to serve for as long as I am able. Over the last 3 years that I have been mayor, our city has experienced a renaissance of revitalization and progress that is visible throughout our city. I am proud of the many accomplishments we have achieved. The elimination of the $120 trash fee, strengthening of our police and fire departments, providing unprecedented levels of funding for our schools, improving infrastructure, transforming economic development. Yeah, no economic development.
Yep.
And stabilizing our financial position. Our work is not nearly complete, and if I am fortunate enough to continue to serve as mayor, then I will continue our work to strengthen our city and reduce burdens like pay-as-you-throw. You've been saying you're going to reduce pay-as-you-throw for how long? All you've got to do, Jasiel, is say, I'm done. The contract is over. And 90 days later, we don't have bags. And if we don't have bags, you can't enforce the law. It is because of my strong belief that the choice rests with the people of Fall River that I ask the public once again to reaffirm their vote for me, Jasiel Correia II.
Wait a minute. You know what this is good for?
Yep.
You know, this is the biggest cry. Number one, it's a political campaign advertisement over to pay a renaissance. I don't know what renaissance you see, but I don't see any renaissance here. Crime, drugs, you know, it's.
And the only place
renaissance they have is a renaissance of employment for political hacks and
that's what
relatives.
the Renaissance is, exactly. All his friends got infrastructure repairs, like Purchase Street.
Exactly. And look, it's your decision to resign or not the people. The people's decision is whether to throw your butt out of office. They're going to, you know, a recall is to fire you, not have you resign. You are going to go out under duress in a recall. You are going to be unelected. You are going to be thrown out with a recall. And the irony is how contradictory and duplicitous is this to say that and then delay the recall. You want the people to decide, yet you are going to delay the people's ability to weigh in as long as possible. This is just, it is absolutely, you read this and it's like, look at this, more campaign BS. He got eliminated the $120 trash fee, and we increased taxes, fees, changed the tax, the tax factor. We did everything. Are you paying less today? That 120 pales by comparison to what you're paying. They eliminated it and got it from somewhere else. This is all BS. Transforming economic development policy. We don't even have an economic development arm of the government right now. Haven't we been reading for the last couple of months that nobody's doing anything on economic development, CJ?
Yep.
Or am I hallucinating?
Nope.
Weren't they saying that nobody's doing the job, and but they're putting everything together? And this clown puts it in here. Like, look what we're doing. Transforming. You transform it into nothing. I mean, even if you didn't agree with Froed, at least we had an agency that was occupied doing economic development. Your transformation is nothing. We're talking about it. That's your transformation. We're talking about economic development.
You know, somebody sent me the mayor's voter registration card with his new address, 17 Peckham Street.
And who lives there?
I don't know, but that's where his voter registration card
says. Is that the third address?
Yeah, that's like the third address we've got.
The third address? Well, I guess we got to, you know, it's kind of like he's kind of like one of these billionaires. He has homes all over the place, you know. Does he have an address in Barbados and one in
Must have
Fiji?
one in France. He's always there.
Yeah, France. He's in France all the time. He must have an apartment on the Champs-Élysées. But I mean, you know, you read this. This is a crock. You know, it's not solely my decision. Yes, it is. It's absolutely your decision, because a recall is not your resignation. A recall is your termination.
That's right.
So, let's get real, Jasiel. Let's get real. And now he can use his campaign funds to fight the recall, to fight his strong belief that the choice, this is his words in his letter, because it's my strong belief that the choice rests with the people of our city. Well, then let the people speak. Don't block it. Go down and sit in the audience on January 2nd and applaud when they set a date for the recall.
That's right.
Tell your lawyers to go home and let's get it on. Let's prove what the people want. Let's do it. Let's do it. Stop talking out of both sides of your mouth and through the other side. Because, this is just political rhetoric BS at its greatest. I want my strong belief that the choice rests with the people, but I'm going to block the people. I'm going to object to their signatures. I'm going to text people to object to even setting a date and make an objection to everything. But I want the people to speak, but I want them to speak like in maybe a year and a half or after it's less than 75 days. I mean, this is the epitome of being duplicitous. I mean, this is just, if you didn't see this playing out, no wonder the people around the country are looking at it and shaking their heads. I mean, they just can't believe it. Every politician in the state told them to take a walk. Take a walk, resign, prove yourself innocent, then you can go back and say, I told you so. Now it rests in the people, but I'm going to fight the people. And he gets to use his campaign funds to delay what he said he wants.
Well, what's going to be interesting,
to fight his own beliefs.
What's going to be interesting is if he uses his campaign funds to fight this recall and loses, he's not going to have any campaign funds left. But if he uses his campaign funds and he gets reelected by the plurality, okay, he gets recalled, but he still gets reelected by the plurality, he has no money in his campaign account to run in
You're right,
September.
but he doesn't need a lot of money to run for the inmate the inmate legislature.
Right.
If he gets incarcerated, so because then you don't need a lot. I think it's cigarettes and
here's the problem: a lot of the zombies can't get past the fact that this has nothing to do of his guilt or his innocence. They cannot get past that fact. They're saying, let the process, follow through. Let him be proven innocent or proven guilty. It has nothing to do with that. People don't want him anymore.
But Kavanaugh couldn't do that.
That's right.
He would have to get out. Look, the zombies know that. In their heart of hearts, you're not going to tell me. If they don't know that, they're learning impaired. I'm sorry. You can't truly, especially since half of them were involved in another recall.
That's right.
And that was fine because it was somebody they disliked. You can't have a sliding set of rules. The reality is that nobody's saying he's not innocent and guilty. But as we've said a million times, as Charlie Baker said, as state legislators said, as many politicians have said, with stuff like this, it creates a perspective on the person that inhibits their ability to perform their duties. We've seen CEOs resign from companies on mere allegations that they were not guilty, they were innocent until proven guilty, because they realized that the stocks of their company, if they remained in there, would completely destroy the company. And they had the best interest of their company as their number one priority, as Jasiel should have the best interest of people in Fall River. It's got nothing to do with the process. You cannot remain the head of a daycare center if you've been charged with pedophilia. Who's going to bring their kids? If you really care about that daycare center, you're going to resign because it's going to be tanked. If you're the DA and you get charged with murder, you can no longer be the district attorney. There are certain jobs, and whether it's fair or unfair, it's a fact, where the perception of the individual in the job is just as important as the performance of that person, i.e., the example of John Kennedy, Camelot. Everybody loved John Kennedy, handsome, war hero, PT-109, articulate, could quote Khalil Gibran in his acceptance speech for the presidency. He could do no wrong. Even when he did something wrong, they forgave him. They loved him. They loved him. Doesn't matter. It's JFK, Jackie, Camelot. Doesn't matter. Screw up the Bay of Pigs. Let him build a wall in Europe. Nobody cares. Hey, it's JFK, man. He's great. He's great. Richard Nixon, 5-day shadow. He finally got caught, but they're all crooks. We know that.
I am not a crook.
Yeah, he's not a crook. But in reality, if you look at Richard Nixon's performance as a foreign policy president, he's one of the best we ever had in the history of the 20th century. He was the one that opened up for the first time in half a century talks and trade with China. He was a good politician. Is that a plus? I don't know, because most politicians are. You know, the only difference between Tricky Dicky and some presidents is he got caught. That's all. He got caught with his finger in a pie. LBJ started out as just a regular working guy, you know, and he ended up a billionaire in Texas after he became a politician. We've seen politicians that have made a lot of money. But, you know, it's perception. And if you don't believe perception is important, especially in politics, you really are a zombie. Because, I mean, we all know that popular politicians get away with more than people who are unpopular.
They always have.
You know, they have no tolerance. If they dislike you, everything you do is wrong. And if they like you, they forgive you. Even if you did something wrong, it's like, oh, well, you know.
And we're seeing that now. And we're seeing that now. But while we're still on this, the mayor's chief of staff has said she is going to seriously contemplate whether she wants to continue as a member of the administration or run a campaign, and is going to give it the weekend to decide. So she's going to take the weekend to decide whether or not she's going to be
I hope
or not.
she's so important to this city. I hope she stays on. Jasiel doesn't need a campaign manager because, I mean, he's just so popular. He's going to get elected without even worrying about it. And, you know, I mean, she's such a tremendous asset, you know, with her.
Well, if she takes it now, she doesn't get the $10,000
without her, the
stipend.
snow would never get removed. Our economic development would be stalled. And without her, you know, people in Florida would be making half of what the rest of the state is making. Oh, wait a minute, they are. So, I mean, look, this is, you know, look, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you come back, you'll get another stipend to make up for what you lost.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. You know, it's going to be interesting because OCPF said she can take a 6-month leave and work on the campaign. Well, her contract runs out on Monday. So don't give her a new contract now. Just let her contract expire. She no longer works for the city. She can be a campaign manager. But we know that she's already doing campaign manager stuff, even though she's working for the city. Otherwise, she would not have been in the office with the mayor when he was discussing the recall with the city councilors. So she's doing campaign stuff while she's working, which is a violation of Mass General Law 55. So she can't do it.
Who cares?
Who cares? It's only the law.
It's only the law. Nobody cares. You're right. Nobody cares about that. And you know, the reality is, look, this is a great opportunity. She leaves. Let's see. Maybe we can make Monica, give her a pay bump, make her the temporary chief of staff, move somebody into Monica's position that gave him some money, or gave, you know, and then once they all come back, the last one on the totem pole disappears somewhere in some office in City Hall, and we got more of our friends employed.
They disappeared CDA.
Hey, listen, have a good one. We'll see you on New Year's Eve day.
Have a great one, and remember,
have a good weekend. And remember, you have to have a strong belief that the choice rests with you, the people.
Have a great weekend.